Good morning. Hello, I'm Maddie of Maddie Harvey Designs. Welcome. This is my weekly video called Knits and Cake for Breakfast. If you're watching the replay and you are here for the how to do the welt stitch tutorial, the timestamp for that will be in the description somewhere. So if you want to skip all the kind of behind the scenes stuff and just get to the tutorial, you can find the timestamp there. So yeah, I'm Maddie Harvey. I'm a knitwear designer and knitting teacher based in Edinburgh, and I love helping knitters develop their creativity and confidence with my knitting patterns, knitting kits and online events. And this is my Knits and Cake for Breakfast video that I do every Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. And the idea is that I just share some behind the scenes things that have been happening, and then I give you either some tips or how-tos or a little tutorial. So this week I'm going to be talking about how to work a welt stitch. And before COVID and lockdown and everything, I was hosting a weekly knit night, and I would do some baking for the knit night on a Wednesday night, and then on a Thursday morning after I dropped my kids at school, there would be some leftover cake, so I would have some of that for my breakfast. So I've been trying to bake nearly every week, but this week actually my kids have been baking. So I have a little cupcake here. It's got lots of sprinkles on and a Smartie. And my youngest child has been doing an online cookery class for the last few weeks. I think we've got 2 more, so maybe 5 weeks in total it is. And it's been really good, and so she wanted to do a cook along with some of her little cousins. So yesterday afternoon we all got on Zoom and did a little live cook along, and I had to play teacher and tell everybody what to do, and they all had the recipe. It was a bit chaotic, it was very loud and noisy, but it was good fun, and we made these little cupcakes. Sprinkles are crunchy. So we actually the recipe was to put tinned fruit, but we used some frozen raspberries in it, which worked really well. And the icing is just a cream cheese icing. So it was quite nice. My kids are a little bit older, so they're more almost able to bake by themselves, which is nice. And although they're not, I need to get them better at doing some of the washing up and the tidying up. But it is quite nice to reach that point where it's not total chaos in the kitchen. Yeah, so that's what's been baking in my house this week. Now I'll show you some other things that I've been working on. This jumper up here is a prototype that I knitted, I think about this time last year actually, and it's a marled cropped jumper, so you hold yarn together. So I've been trying to get the pattern in shape for that, and I've been knitting up a little mini jumper just with some scrap yarn. So it uses a strand of mohair lace held with a strand of 4-ply or fingering weight yarn, and it's got the increases in the yoke. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, are done with just yarn overs instead of doing a kind of lifted increase or anything else. So at the moment I've made them kind of alternate, giving this sort of polka dot effect. But I'm not sure if I want to have it like that or if I'd rather have the eyelets kind of radiating. But I'm just using scrap yarn, so I've just added in other colours as I go. But the idea is that the jumper will use either leftovers or mini skeins. Yeah, so I'm quite pleased with how the neck came out because it's reverse stocking stitch, so I've actually knitted it the other way around, so I don't have to purl. So you can see that how much vibrant the stripes are on that side. Yeah, so it's got folded hem at the neck, which was a little bit tricky to do because then I needed to turn it the other way around, to work it on the wrong side basically. So, and I've used German short rows, which I usually just use a wrap and turn because I find that they work okay for me. And I have done German short rows before, but I just always default to a wrap and turn. But I decided, I tried the wrap and turn, and I wasn't keen how it was coming out with the yarn. So I tried the German short row, and I liked it, how it came out. So I think I might put that in the pattern. And I know a lot of people prefer it once they find out about it. It's not the sort of the more common short row. So yeah, German short row, I think I might be a convert. Once I'd worked out, I could do it fine on one side, but on the other side, I couldn't work out where to put the yarn when you slip the stitch. So maybe I'll do a video tutorial about it when this pattern actually comes out, or maybe before that. Yeah, so I quite like the German short rows now. I've got into the flow of them. Good morning. I'm just reading some of the comments here. Oh, thank you, big bobblehead. You're looking forward to the knit retreat, yeah, at the end of the month. Brilliant. Yeah, there's still a couple of places left if anybody wanted to. You can find the link via my website, maddieharveydesigns.com. All the stuff has started arriving for the goodie bags, so it's getting very exciting. Yeah, and the other thing that's happened this week is, I don't know if you have got a copy of the Knitter magazine. This just came out, I think it comes out today officially. I got my copy, yesterday. Yeah, it came yesterday. So I have a shawl pattern in here. Actually, I'll just show you the front, because when you open the front cover, ta-da, there it is. So it's a big wrap style shawl, and it's knitted on the bias. So you're increasing at one side and decreasing at the other side, and it makes the stripes here go diagonally. Let's see if I can show you some more pictures. So it's called Haar, H-A-A-R, which is a Scottish word, and it's the when you get mist coming in from the sea. Usually it happens a lot on the East Coast, so we get it here in Edinburgh. When I lived in Aberdeen, we got it a lot in Aberdeen. So yeah, and it's knitted in lace weight yarn from Dye Ninja. So it uses 100 grams skein of the lovely grey, and then she's doing these mini skeins for the pops of colour. So there's three. There's this purple, a gorgeous like a dark teal, and this mustard yellow. So the mini skeins are they 20 grams or 25, can't remember exactly, but she is hoping to have some kits, I think, on her website, which is just dyeninja.com. And the knitter usually put the patterns up on Ravelry, you know, just a listing, so if you wanted to know more, you could go over there and have a look. But yeah, it's a big wrap, and it's lovely to have a pattern in the Knitter magazine. That's the second one I've had, which is a big kind of milestone for me. So I'll show you, this is one of the swatches that I did for the design. So you can see the colour palette is quite different from the yarn that the sample was knitted in. And I also, in this swatch, I used a mohair lace here. So the stripes are done by alternating a lace section with a stocking stitch section, which you then do the welt stitch on, so it kind of cinches it up. You can probably, if I do that, no, actually this is too thin to show you, but when I turn my camera around to show you how to actually do the stitch, you'll see, but it's just making a fold in the fabric, so it cinches it together. And then obviously lace is bigger, it's at a bigger gauge and it's wider, so those parts open out and they're striped, and then there's some increasing and decreasing going on to create the shaping of the wrap. I am very tempted to cast another one on, but I might do it in 4-ply, because it's the kind of pattern you could start and you could just kind of knit it to however much yarn you've got, and then you can do the decrease section at the end using what you've got left. So as long as you kept an eye on your yarn quantities and kept weighing your yarn to see how much you had left, you could definitely make it in what you had. Yeah, and you could, the other thing you could do is you could do the stripes in different colours. You know, you wouldn't have to do it in the 3 colours. If you had some leftovers as well, it would be another good one for that. Yeah, so I'm going to turn my camera around and show you how to do the welt stitch. I've knitted up a little sample. So I am just going to take my phone off here and I'm going to turn it around. There we go. And I think I'm going to have to plug in because my battery is running low. And then I will just turn my little stand over so that it is holding my phone in place. Let's see. Just pop it in the wee holder. Okay. Get the cable out of the way. Right, so I've knitted up a little swatch here. So I've got the dark grey, which is like the main colour, and then this pale blue, which is like the little pop of the mini skein colour, and I've got this portion of stocking stitch and this part of lace, and then another portion of stocking stitch here. And I am going to, I've kept my main colour attached, and I'm going to make the welt stitch with that main colour. So what the welt does is it just folds the knitting up. It makes a really great texture. So I go to the back of the work, and what I'm going to pick up is actually in the main colour, so it makes it really easy to see. So I'm going to pick up that grey loop there, and then using my main colour I'm going to knit those 2 stitches together. Then I come to the back again and I'm looking for the next grey bump, which is that one, and pick it up and knit them together. Go to the back again, so it's this grey bump. Now because they're knitted in the contrast colour, they're really easy to see, and it's really easy to be consistent and be picking up on the back of the work along the same row. But if you were doing this and it's all in the same colour, it can be quite hard to see. And then what you might want to do is put some markers in. You know, you just go along, I mean it's not the same there, but here you could just put a couple of markers along and then just keep moving them so that you always you're always making the welt stitch with the same row from below. And it's because it's so easy to accidentally pick up the wrong stitch. Okay, and that one is there, it's hiding a little bit. Okay, so you can see now that that has made a bump in the knitting. It's joined up this with this at the top and made a bump. And you know, in this super bulky yarn it looks really bumpy and really sticky out in 3D, but when you're knitting it in the lace weight yarn, like in the Har pattern, it's not as structural as 3D as that and sticking out. It's more subtle. So I'm just knitting across the lace part, and one more, and then I'm going to start doing it again, doing the welt stitch. So I go to the back and I pick up that loop and knit together. And this is the same technique that I used in my skew lines hat, which I might link to in the description when I repost this. If you're watching on the replay later, I will post to that pattern, and it uses it has the same idea where it's knitted in a contrast colour and a main colour, so when you pick up the welt it's really easy to see because it's in a different colour. Right, now I'm coming to the end, which can sometimes be a little bit fiddly, because you know how the end stitch almost ends up like as a half stitch? Well, that my yarn is splitting there. Right, just get this one done now. So yeah, I'm going into the side here. There we go. Okay, so now, let's see if I can get that to focus. It's a bit bunched up on here, but I've got, you can see already that that lace bit is hanging down because the lace gauge is bigger and it's made a nice large airy piece of knitting, and where the welt is all squidged up because we have joined together this first couple of rows of the main colour with the top of this contrast colour stocking stitch section. So that's what it looks like on the back. So you've got this bunched up bit, and then you've got the open lace, and then you've got another bunched up bit. And that is how the Har shawl pattern works, basically. There's some increasing and some decreasing, and there's also some garter stitch sections, which is a nice kind of break from this part, which is requires a little bit more thinking. But actually, you know, it's one of these patterns that is much easier to do than it looks. It looks fancier than it is, and once you get into it, you'll get into the rhythm of the patterning and of the increasing and the decreasing. So that's how to do the welt stitch. So hopefully you found that useful. I will be back next Thursday. If there's something that you would like me to show you how to do, or if there's something you would like some tips on or some advice, you can get in touch either on social media where I'm Harvey Knits, or if you're watching on YouTube, you could leave me a comment. Yeah, okay, I'll let you get on with your Thursday, and I will see you next time. Bye.